Welcome to What's Your Sign? I'm Julia Loken.
I'm Stevie Goldstein.
And I'm the Dear Abby of this podcast.
Yeah.
Is that what I said last time? I forgot.
I don't think so.
I don't think so. This sounds
We
fresh.
should keep a running track. I would love
someone
we should cut a
great.
compilation.
Totally, just what we need. More content for the internet.
Just a compilation of all of the things that Lisa is.
Actually, that'd be interesting to see in a row.
Like, I don't think you've repeated.
I don't think you've repeated.
There's a few ones where I'm like, I'm pretty sure I said this last time. Aquarius, any Aquarius episode, you can go look back. I'm pretty sure they're all the same.
What do you think it is?
Oh, it's just a little lightning bolt or a zap.
I actually think that is the only one you have repeated.
It's
now
one
that's ringing a bell.
I can't. It's hard for me to find a real positive and embodied thing that works with whatever the episode theme is too. It's
I thought you were gonna say about Aquarians because I was gonna.
No, I mean, it is one of those things where I don't want to be like, I'm a weirdo, like calling like you want to like, I don't know, try to do something more positive and
I'm the Stevie's ex-boyfriend of this podcast.
Exactly.
Yeah, Aquarian bait. Yeah, no, I'm just trashing on Aquarians. Aquarians have been pretty fine this year for me so far. Yeah. Have you guys so we're not even almost, we are halfway through the year. And I know we've talked.
We're not half. I mean, come on, let's pump
it's May. It's
that's not half.
That's not half.
Oh my god.
Come on.
Almost half. I mean, 5 is almost 6.
That's
okay.
This is your Aries moon talking.
Okay, it's Q2, I guess.
Yes.
Or maybe even 3. I don't know.
2.
Yeah.
It's 2.
Yeah, we're 2.
Who's best sign, worst sign of the year so far? Because this might change by the actual half of the year or by the actual end of the year. Curious if there's been any overall boppery or floppery. And I did not plan or think of this ahead. This is just feeling curious if anything's come up.
You know, I'm so up my own ass. It must be Taurus must be the flop.
Whoa.
I've been so in my own world that it's hard for me to even think about it. Maybe it is me.
I think both the bop and the flop is me.
Whoa, oh my
gosh. But it is, I agree. No, I agree. I'm like, honestly, I haven't thought about any other signs. I mean, I have. I've thought about like
Taurus.
I have thought about other signs. I have thought about other people, but there hasn't been any like
standout repeating.
Actually, you know what? Actually, a Pisces did me really dirty recently.
Oh, okay.
And so I am gonna go ahead and throw it out there, even though I rarely ever talk shit on Pisces because I think it's karmically bad for you, but
oh, wow.
They really did me in a way that I was not ready for.
Wow. Okay.
Well, sign me up for karmic hell with you. They're also on they've been water. I'm pretty off water. I've been off water since the end of last year.
Make it sparkle or don't make it at all.
Yeah. I mean,
brought to you by San Pellegrino, little cans.
As someone that drinks 6 ounces of water a day, I've been really off water. Literally in the signs. Yeah, I'm just off. You know, these water signs lately they think they're so emotionally tapped in and I just don't buy. I'm just like calling BS on like the water signs. I think they have a lot of emotional learning to do, but they think they've already done it. And that's my water read. And that's all I have to say. So I haven't changed too much since last year. I'm very anti-water and pro-fire at this point in time. Anything could change, but that's where I'm at.
Yeah, I think I don't disagree with the read. You know, I do think that is like a water challenge of having to like live into the life experience that they have or wisdom or whatever it is, you know, depending on the day, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I mean, I'm in a 12th house perfection year, and so I feel like I'm very like, I don't know. I feel like I'm giving everybody a pass right now because I'm feeling very judgmental of myself and going like, actually, everybody's perfect. Everybody's made 0 mistakes in their life. All signs are great. I'm just like absolutely a piece of shit. But that's also not, that's not true either. I know, but
we're all trying. Look, we're all hopefully trying and trying and improving and open. But
yeah, I think I've been trying to detach a little bit from even assigning something as a sign-based thing, as even the untangling of my own brain, like the Charlie Day meme or whatever.
Yeah,
where I'm like, this is astrology is also the problem. You also do that. That's another thing that you do, is that you always make it about someone's sign or whatever, like this kind of thing. But
like, it is their personhood at the end of the day. We know, we know this, but the trends do seem to speak quite loudly.
Let me know where this falls for y'all. And I'm trying to think of a good metaphor in a Pisces doing you wrong in a Pisces lore type of way, where and what kind of Pisces you think this falls into. Let's say there's I'm gonna lend you a book, let's say.
Okay.
And it's been there on our mutual calendar for the What's Your Sign calendar for 3 weeks.
Great plug. Yes.
And every week I renew it into the next week because we didn't schedule a thing for me to drop the book off. And then week 4 comes around and I see the both of you in person. I mentioned to one in front of the other, hey, I have that book, by the way, that I'd like to drop off for you. And you say, I'm around anytime this weekend. I come by on the weekend.
Okay.
And then you tell me you actually don't want the book after all.
Oh, no. So they're just annoying.
Like, so where in
this is the water?
Where in the Pisces is it?
I think this is the slippery fish. Can't be.
I thought I was helping you. I thought I was being nice. I know for 3 times now. I know you've never wanted the book.
So many chances is the other.
Many chances. On text, directly, in person.
And this is obviously represents bigger. It's bigger than the. This is already bigger than the book.
It's almost not. It's almost not. It's almost that level. Maybe it's a little bit different.
But it's the approach to everything. Like, I already know this is Pisces' approach to probably everything in their life, and I'm already fuming.
I think it's the necessity to need to be kind of backed into a corner around something instead of just being able to establish, I do want this, I don't want this. Let's set a time. I'm going to stick to this thing. I'm going to whatever.
If you didn't want the book, you thought maybe it would hurt my feelings or mean something to me about
why delay?
Yeah, that so I had read it or whatever the thing was.
Yeah.
I like this back corner. It's literally being the last sign, the last possible moment you can say no, which is like, I do think there is an element of not wanting to disappoint, which then is just more disappointing.
It's also that like that level of thing where it's like, no one would ever get mad about this. Like, why would I ever care?
But I do think this is like a mutable thing that happens, because I do think that there is a desire to kind of like let something take care of itself, and that's like a putting off it thing. But there is also, I think, a mutable ability to like imagine something as going terribly wrong that I don't think other quality of signs do. And I do think that this is, there is like a level of
but you got to be an adult at some point, and just say it's not that big of a deal. I do wonder to some extent if what you're saying, I don't know. I do kind of think that you do just have to, you have to at some point just say like, hey, I don't want that. But you don't need to keep putting it on.
Stop wasting my time.
I'm good.
Yes. Or just take the book and do so, like,
or pretend, bitch.
I also think in saying like things take care of, I do think this person thinks it took care of itself when really I took care of it. Yeah. And that's the part where I'm like, it feels disrespectful.
Yes.
I don't know.
But that's, I mean, I think there's a part of it that goes like, I'm going to just hands off. Like they seem to have
it took care of itself. Yeah. And it's like, no, I drove all the way here with your fucking fucking book. It did not take care of
that's
itself.
Wild. The physical travel again,
and it wasn't close.
This is hurting.
It wasn't close, and it was on a day off, and it was
That's
not
so unnecessary. And we all, if you should be watching these episodes on YouTube with a video, so you can see that we've all held our hands up in the air at some point to symbolize Pisces in this moment. The amount of times I'm just getting secondhand former irritation from the amount of times I've had Pisces friends profusely apologize for doing like very normal friend behavior, but like can't go to something or this, like the show of it gets so much bigger than the thing that actually happened. And then I just get more annoyed by their like meek, like, I'm sorry, don't hate me. And I'm like, having this sorry, don't hate me combo so many times is making me hate you a little bit.
Oh, nothing. Not to me. I say, what about you not making it to my thing makes it about me hating you? You know, where does that come in with me hating you? How did that come in? I do that all the time to my husband. Has a lot of Pisces places. It wasn't him, but it very well could have been.
Yeah.
Look, listen to this, Pisces. You know what I hear? That we just want to connect with you. That's all I hear. Like, that's just an honest connection. There's no hate. There is no hate here. So if you're Pisces listening, thinking, oh, these what's their time people hate me. I mean, these actions, sure. These are pretty annoying, but also it's just like there's no punishment. I think like there's always this fear of like some reprimanding coming, and maybe it's the past life Pisces rooted in spirituality, which can also be really rooted in back to karma and those things of like, oh, now I'm bad.
Well,
but
I also, when I view it from hindsight, which, you know, never, I mean, is it helpful? Who knows? I think, well, maybe if I hadn't confronted the person in front of another person, or not confronted, but like asked them about it, you know, if they thought they were saving face for, oh yeah, I'm gonna get this book from you or whatever, I'm gonna help you with this thing. I don't know. I do feel like looking back, I'm like, oh, okay, it was in all of these ways that they felt uncomfortable, which I would have never known unless you could have texted me directly and said like, hey, I'm no thank you or whatever.
Yeah. Well, time's not real to them, and neither is these ideas of you traveling to bring an actual physical object to their human bodies. So like, it's just like a net loss at that point. Which, hey, Pisces, stay puzzling all of us at the end of the day. Speaking of fantasy, because I have to talk about it. I have to talk about it before it leaves my brain forever. But I went to Disneyland for the first time, and it's weird. Like, that's my main recap is it's weird. It was for a wedding. The wedding could have been more Disney. I will try to not reveal too much in case my sweet cousin happens to listen to this, his wedding related episode. Wedding was great. He's obviously my cousin's a Disney annual pass holder, like is a Disney adult. I don't even know if he fully addresses that he is, but like the context clues are there.
Yeah.
He is the wedding's
a pass holder, you're one, right?
Yeah, and like, you know, hidden Mickeys and like, yeah, like this is all the stuff. I guess before I give my dissertation on the fantasy that is Disneyland, you guys have been. Yes, okay, and you like it?
Julia's a Disney adult.
I'm a recovering Disney
She's
adult.
reformed.
Yeah. But it was, because I will say this, I feel like I was like a Disney adult by default. From
SoCal, which is important.
From SoCal, there was a dance competition that would happen every year at Disneyland, and you could. One year, one of my dance teachers had a pass, but this is when passes were like
affordable,
$200 or something like that. And then it was like, oh, we'll go with the dance teacher to this thing. And then I went to college in Orange County, and that was like a place that I just like knew I could go.
So close.
Yeah. I just kept you kept getting the pass, and you could like go for we would like get drunk, park at downtown Disney because it was free, go to Disneyland, wasted, running around like an absolute chaos demon.
That sounds fun.
You know, like, yeah. since then, this is also when I feel like being a Disney adult was like, there were people that would go to Dapper Day, which is like when the day when you dress up.
Now that's where I'm out.
But that's where I'm like, I've never done it. I've never done a Dapper Day. I never did a Dapper Day. That was like as much as I knew about this. This is like pins are just starting. Like the culture and the buy-in was not where it is today. You're gonna eat a turkey leg. You're going to go on rides. There's like low pressure or whatever. Like
it's an amusement park. It should be fun. Yeah. This is we're having fun.
And here. I do appreciate the attention to detail. I do love the fantasy. Hey, I got Neptune on the IC. I am no stranger to escapism and, you know, being away for a while. Also, it was a place associated with my childhood in that way too. Same thing. A very like postpartum experience after you like leave Disney, like post Disney depression of being like, oh, can't life always be like Disneyland, you know, whatever. All of these.
You almost went full Mickey voice right there.
Gee, shucks, can't life
always stay like
that? Yes. Unpack, you know, what you will. But I agree that now the level now is gross.
When was the last time y'all went?
I went right before COVID.
Okay, so recent.
I probably started COVID. I went in February, like 20th of 2020.
That was the Petri dish. That was. Go.
I've never had a bad time at Disneyland. Epcot, I have a different story, but Disneyland, I generally have had great experiences going. I like all of the pomp, the circumstance. Obviously, Disney himself being a problematic figure comes up. Like, I feel like It's a Small World is the place where it always comes up, where you're like, this is really fucking weird. And I do, and like the Hall of Presidents and those kind of things are very like weird and strange. But I do like everything, like the trees to the cobblestones to the whatever. I like the grand nature of it. There are certain like characters or things that I feel excited to see. I feel like most of the rides are fun. It is for sure too expensive. But I love an amusement park, so I think it's fun to go. I would like to go more as a casual trip rather than a whole like we got to make the most of it. This is our one, you know, that to me feels a little too high pressure.
Yes, I agree.
My pitch, Sharks, my pitch is this. Disney, like they have the nights, the theme nights. There should be a theme night for, we like Disney, but not like that much. Like I want to go with the normal people would be my pitch. It's like, hey, no one's wearing a shirt. Sure, some ears are welcome. That's fine. Like, wait, I'm not here. Like, look, I go to baseball games. I put on the uniform. I scream. I'm into astrology, for fuck's sakes. I dropped my husband off at Fish on Sunday. We all have our cults that we, you know, dig into. The money being spent was shocking. And then the thing that I felt, and I love, love rides. I laughed my ass off. Inner child was healed. It's lots of giggling, like love whooshes, love splashes, love logs, love this ride that we're doing. I was just kept noticing, I'm like, okay, everyone wants to live in a walkable community. Okay, Jungle Cruise is showing you different parts of the world, but yet we still end up at Anaheim minimum 8 times a year and don't go to see those places. I felt like I did 2 days, and the first day was just pure fun. We were with more people on the first day. Like Pablo's brother happened to be at Disney the same weekend, so we got to go with his brother. My cousin had time before the wedding, so we had more like group energy, which was good. The second day when it was just me and Pablo, which I love being with him, don't get me wrong, it was like waking up and seeing the person you slept with. Like the next day at Disney, I was like, oh, we're back. Like I felt fine or satisfied from one day. Like one day was more than enough. Second day was just a little too like the lights are on. I see what you look like. And yeah, just the outfit. It's corny. Like, I don't know how, like I bought ears, you know, I'm having fun, but the corniness, the money, and like I don't know. It's like, it's the same. We hear this in LA a lot from like people who live in typically gated communities of like, I just wanted things to be clean. And I love how clean Disney is. And it's like, that just feels like a metaphor for something racist at the end of the day, where it's just like, I want to live somewhere gated and clean and where everyone knows where everything is and there's no surprises. And it's like
the number of people, I feel like growing up, like you would get the like Disney catalog or whatever. And I remember like looking through as a elementary schooler going, it would be so cool if everything was Disney. Like, I want to get everything Tinkerbell. I want to get everything, whatever. You know, again, Sag looking through a catalog. Transport me to this life. But the number of people that actually had that, I feel like were few and far. If you found someone who actually had all of the Disney stuff, the whatever, it was like pretty unusual and over the top. Now every person there is wearing like head to toe Disney shoes, Disney bag, different ears for each day, different Disney long sleeve, which again, cute. I think they've also upped merch. They've also done all of these things too. Like, I understand why, but it just is like, doesn't have like,
it's you know who's to blame for this is Etsy, because every time I was in line with someone and like the conductor of the thing would be like, oh my God, I love your custom. You just named all those items there. They'd be like, where'd you get it? The Etsy. I got it on Etsy. Like, so much just like Etsy. And look, I get it. Etsy is a place for makers and it's a great place to sell. I'm just saying we should get into some Disney merch is what I'm ultimately pitching. Seems really lucrative. At the end of the day. Like, wow, shelling out the money, the wallets, like, just super, super down. I'll
also pitch to you going on a weekday, in a non-peak time when we're not near spring break, when we have because I know that this is going to sound like coastal elite and classist, and it's okay with me that it sounds that way, because I think every single city has their version of this, but it's like, it's a crowded Walmart to some degree. Where it's like, there's too many people from too many different walks of life and too many different, like, everyone has a different objective, and everyone's like, some people are trying to rush through the park, some people are trying to enjoy and savor and whatever, and it's like, it's crowded, it's uncomfortable, people are exacting their will on others in ways that like are unacceptable, and so it is tough on a weekend. It's almost that feeling of like being in an airport or something, where it's like, I love the diversity, but it's like, there's no culture coming from it. It's an airport. It's like, there's people of all different kinds eating at Chick-fil-A, but like, does that change? Does that make anything better? No.
I appreciate you bringing up the coastal eliteness, because now I can dig into my real comments on Disney now that this has been declared a safe space, which was the first day, which is Thursday, 420, blaze it, peaceful. So great. Also, first day before Mercury retrograde. Next day, Mercury retrograde, Walmart experience 100%. And was it diverse? No. It was my
there's old and young,
was like,
there's
my brown husband was like, this
big
is
and small
white. There was I was really wanting to give out some vitamin C serum, and like by the end of the weekend, I was just feeling like, oh man, like, I don't know, but that's any like carnival park. You're just,
and I do think there's
the United States for what it is.
Breadth of different people of different like social class, which is I guess what I was thinking of, where it's like, it's one person's entire like savings and gone, like they've gone and saved up and it's a big trip, and to another person it's like they're wiping their ass with $20 bills and it's Disneyland, so it's just that like kind of diversity is what I was thinking of.
It was,
you could even get at one point like half day ticket. If you went in the afternoon, you would get like a cheap ticket because you were going and you weren't getting a full day or whatever. Like, it wasn't always as
like a money grab.
Yes. I mean, it's always been, I think, more expensive, but you always, I think, felt like you were getting that in it's clean, it's more artistic, there's like storylines and the animatronics, and it is again, not to say that this like outweighs all these other things, because it's like really, I went last year twice actually, because it was people out of town, and it also was like kind of not, I had a great time. I have a good time every time, like Lisa said too, but it was not the same, and it was harder to not, like to overlook all of those things and to go like, oh, this is not like worth the thing. But I think you used to feel a little bit more like you saw it in the pageantry, and there also were like attempts to make things that were really innovative and to give people the opportunity to create things that you weren't seeing there. There was an emphasis on creativity and experimentation and doing things. Again, does that mean that it actually was in all of the ways that we know now systemically are not? Of course. But there is still some, like, I don't know.
Look, it's quite gay in my opinion. I was happily surprised how gay it was. Like after seeing all the animatronics pirates, I was like, this is camp. Like this is pure theater. I mean, I love Waterworld at Universal. Like I like a show. I get why Ron DeSantis is so insecure about Disney World, even though he got married at Disney World, which is a very fun fact for him. Also, I had fun. People hyped up Disney quite a lot to me. I tried to like put it away because I didn't want to like think this is gonna be the greatest place on earth. It was very fun. I'd go back in 5 years, or if someone sooner wanted to go and invited me, sure, I would go. My destination over and over. To each your own. I think, look, people looked like they were on drugs. They were so happy to be there. So I'm like, if that does that for you, suck it, snort it up, baby. Like enjoy that Disney magic.
Oh, there's some magic to going with little kids too. Yes. And that kids and having so people like that, kids that you love be like, I can't believe you took me here, or like stuff like that, where it's like,
agreed.
Those kind of things are,
I got to see a baby in front of me at Pirates that like looked like the alien from Mac and Me. I don't know if you've ever seen that movie. And he was like straight up sucking on his mom's white dreadlock. And I was like, wow, this is magic. The animatronics here are just phenomenal. Also Mercury retrograde facts. The first day there, you can Google this, guys. The like POS whatever system that lets people in shut down. It was backed up for hours and hours outside of Disney. And then an animatronic fire thing during like Mickey's parade with Fantasia like lit on fire. Like the thing blew up and lit on fire. Electricity went out while we were on rides. Like we would get in line, but then we would follow our gut, like be like, let's just get a hot dog right now instead, and we'll come back. And then it was like, oh, we would have waited in that long line, and Haunted Mansion just shut down. So like, luckily, we kind of followed our intuitive flow, and Pablo was very down for. I was like, "It's Mercury retrograde. I'm just letting you know." So, if there's a ride you really want to go on and it's open, let's go now, because I'm not going to guarantee that we'll be open later. Lots of ride shutdowns. Also, very surprised that my cousin's wedding was a little less Disney than I thought it was going to be. Was at Disneyland, like a hotel there, but was very surprised that it was also kind of collabed with the Office themed wedding. They walked out to the Office theme song. There was a lot of Office references. So, I just love my basic cousin so much for just leading into the things that he enjoys. But that was Disney. I'll go back, but regular people night, hear me out. I think that would, like, no shirts, no Etsy shirts allowed. Ears are fine.
I'm into it.
Oh yeah.
You have to prove that you don't go often too. Like I want to see like some way we'll figure out.
You cannot have a pass.
You call
no
it
passes.
Yeah, never mind. I can't even think of a good one, but I was like, you say the names of things wrong or whatever.
Yes. No, like I will get that was the thing.
If you point out a hidden Mickey, get the fuck out of here.
Dude, my cousin for his wedding dessert was like, before his wedding, I was like, are you guys gonna like do Disney choreography, or like is Mickey gonna be there? And he's like, well, there is a special thing from Beauty and the Beast. And I was like, okay. And then flash forward to the wedding, like it's like there's Disney shaped things, but no character. I'm like, where's the Disney stuff?
Wait, let me guess. She married someone else.
My cousin came out as a beast. He was on beast mode. No, and they're like, I was like, what's the surprise? Like, what is it going to be? And then for dessert, we got, here's a Disney fan. We got the gray stuff. Do you guys know what
try the gray stuff. It's delicious.
You know what the gray okay. Well, you guys are nerds, and I just wanted to check that and case confirmed. So I
don't know what it is. I mean,
it was like from the song.
Okay. Yeah. It's a reference. Like, I guess in the movie, there's a tray of
Be-
desserts and there's
From
some
the
gray
Be Our
stuff.
Guest, he
Mhm.
says, try the gray stuff. It's delicious.
Yeah.
Don't believe me? Ask the dishes. Okay.
Well, it was nasty, and it was mainly frosty and like red velvet. It was just a little heavy on the frosting. Looked cool. But I was like, okay, this is for Disney people. Like, I don't get this, but
I find the Disney. I have been to one Disney wedding, and it really was just like a hotel wedding.
It was like it could have, no offense to my cousin, it could have been like a banquet hall anywhere. Just everything. We just happened to be at Disney, and there was like Disney logos on things. But look, made a Mazel Tov. They're happy. Like, enjoy your things, and they got to go to Disney for a week. They're annual pass holders. This is the point.
Yeah,
your wedding should be the things you like. So just lean in, do it up.
Do you?
Please, if you're a Disney adult. That's cool. You listen to this, and
we're sorry.
I'm sorry, I guess, but no, you found things you like, astrology and Disney. So
the mouse
and the mouse also was sick the entire time, and our hotel room was all I could describe was moist, like just a wet. Like, ever have like a wet room? You're just like, why is it everything wet in here? Cool life.
Let's get into some listener questions.
Yeah.
It's our May mailbag.
Enough of the gray stuff.
Yeah. Time for I guess, a different kind of gray stuff.
Gray matter? Are we going brain? Okay.
Yeah. Or going like, that's,
the gray.
Life exists in the gray, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If you don't know, this is our May mailbag episode. If you are a member of our Patreon, you can write us a listener question as many times as you want, but only if you are a Patreon member. So if you are not, think about it. Join us over at patreon.com/whatyoursign-podcast. We also get access to our Discord and our monthly bonus episodes on the full and new moons. So let's
including these eclipses that have been going on as well. So get
in there. Okay, our first question is, can you give me some insight on having your sun and moon in opposing signs? What does this bring out in a person? What kinds of gifts or challenges are associated with this configuration? My sun is in Sag and my moon is in Gemini. Additionally, if there is a seesaw effect, how can this play out with a Gemini moon, which already brings its own duality with it? Is it just a chaotic combo? LOL.
This Gem Sag, maybe just go, what? What the hell are they talking? Wait,
very, very Gem Sag.
Very, very, very. What is it? Having your sun and moon opposing signs. Well, you're a full moon baby, so that's
yes. That's what it literally means. Or one of the things that it means.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I always think of like sun opposite moon, which, as we just said, that's always going to happen during a full moon time, maybe a little before, a little after, if it's not the exact. But I think of the sun, since it is such our forward front ego-y sort of things, and then our moon being as far away from the sun as possible. It tends to show up as like, I feel like my husband has this, and I feel like I'll look at him and be like, oh, do you not like this? He's like, I'm loving this. I'm like, oh, sorry. Your moon is like literally as far away from your sun as it could be, that I don't see your feelings as closely tied in as I might maybe see with someone who's has it closer. Now, that's not always going to be every case. I mean, Gemini moons, this is my loving read, tend to need a lot of like verbal affirmation. They want to hear. I mean, you even asked, is this a chaotic combo? Like, no, you're fine, sweetie. Like, it's okay. That works. But I think when the sun or moon are so far, I feel like the head and heart can feel like really different consultants. And I think some people, it's like, oh my gut, am I feeling this? Just go. I mean, I don't know the rest of the chart either, so I'm just generalizing. But I feel like that can feel like this torn feeling. It's like, think of like at a dating show. It's like I feel like this, but my body's telling me this. That's usually how I think of with sun moon oppositions.
Yeah, I think that sun moon opposition people, I mean, you're definitely full moon. So I would say you're emotional. I feel like it's and maybe that's not something people want to hear. Sorry, Cancer moon speaking. But it's the time when the sun is shining and you're seeing all of the moon. And, you know, maybe it's not an exact full moon. I don't know exactly your natal chart, but you're seeing like all of the emotional thing, right? And during the day, you're seeing all of the sun too. It's not like on those days you go outside during the daytime and the sun's gone. The sun's still there. So it's both things at like max capacity. And so I do think there's a dual nature. I don't think it's necessarily the same thing inherently as the Gemini moon of itself. I think it's more of this kind of self and other and feeling an identity. And I think there is definitely a ability, especially with it, the moon being in Gemini, to see all sides of an issue. And maybe that makes it harder for you to like, it may make it easier, I don't know, but like for you to actually pick a side because you can see both sides of every issue. And maybe that goes, you know, thing to thing. Maybe it's super easy to pick a side when it's a political thing, but it's super hard when it's like two friends fighting or whatever. And that again is that like in the political sphere, it's possible that you see yourself reflected, where when it's two friends fighting, you're so close to it that it's hard to like see yourself in that. And so it's that like self and other thing. I also feel like it's just I don't exactly know like exactly how to say this, but like it's I guess maybe similar to like that Libra type of balance thing where it's like you can probably fit in different spots. You can probably go between different groups and things like that. I feel like you're also probably pretty in tune with how you feel. So I think, you know, saying it, if this is a chaotic energy or whatever, if that's something you feel, then like, yeah, that's the world you're creating, then absolutely that's what it is. If you're second guessing yourself, I don't feel like that's living your best sun moon.
Mm-hmm. I think that there's an idea that we are like, I think sun moon, if we think about it, the moon is changing and moving and fluctuating all of the time, but we also kind of want imbalance to our Sag sun, which I think is a little bit more, you know, singularly focused or like philosophical in that way, where it's like big picture, kind of like the details fall away, whereas Gemini is about, you know, detail, fact, information, all of that sort of thing. I think that having the moon there, the moon is going to be picking up on all of these little things, whereas the sun kind of wants us to have like a big, broad idea about who we are and what we are. But I think when we can accept that our emotional state is meant to be kind of like changing, then you can think of your moon more as like a thermometer that's constantly kind of taking the temperature. And it's okay to feel differently from moment to moment. We all do, whether we have a sun moon opposition or not. But I think that sometimes that depending, no matter what the sign is, but I think that sometimes in those opposites, we really want the moon to like pick something and stay something, so we can stay kind of more squarely opposite with each other, as opposed to the reality of the moon, which is that it's like, it's changing all the time. And it's always like, because the moon isn't just necessarily like our emotional state. It is, but it is also like you're hungry, you're tired, you're like you're you know, feeling energetic or whatever. It's like all of these things that we're kind of like feeling and what's the word that I'm looking for? Like influence our emotions. But I also think that Sagittarius and Gemini to me are one of the most like compatible oppositions that exist. I think most oppositions actually are like fairly compatible, but I think less that they are opposite or like at odds with each other, and more like Lisa said, that you're kind of going to see things from all angles. So while you can kind of talk yourself out of what you're feeling, it's more, I would encourage you to think of it more as like a very highly tuned like measuring device, especially in an air sign, especially Gemini moon. I think Gemini moons are very like, they're picking up a lot of information. They're not necessarily feeling all of that like in a physical way or in an emotional kind of way, but it's very much like, oh, I'm feeling this. I was feeling hungry today, and now I'm feeling not hungry today, and I'm going to be feeling hungry in an hour, and I'm blah, blah, blah. Like they're able to articulate it. And I think that sometimes makes other people feel like they are chaotic, but really we're all like changing that much. We're just not always necessarily expressing that kind of change that's going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like you're getting both the gifts from that polarity, and like getting that, the sun Sagittarius is like, your main OG guy, but then in the, waiting in the wings far in 180 degrees away is a Gemini moon that might see the small things when Sag is thinking of the big things, those things we think of with Sag and Gemini. I also thinking now, I mean, I don't know your rising, but like, let's say, for example, your sun's in the second house. So that means I know your moon's in the eighth house. So I think it's like a good reminder of when we might focus so much on one thing too, like sun in the second house and Sag might be really industrious or wanting to make your own money or like be an entrepreneur, reminding us that with Gemini moon, which is very much about connections, say if it's in the eighth house, that it also, we might need other people to help us out. And it might not just be our only show. So I think it's like, since they move in tandem, it's always going to have that, well, why not try it this other way too? Because they are connected on these, not only polarity axis, but these different house axes as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think,
and then we can talk about the seesaw in a bit too, because I know that was brought up.
I think in going with that too, like you have to remember that the transits are happening to both of them usually. Mm-hmm. And so that is another thing that might feel a little bit like tough because, you're getting T squared or you're getting a conjunction and an opposition together, or you're getting, I mean, I guess not every single aspect is going to aspect both, but especially in those harsher ones, like it is going to hit them both. So that's something to keep in mind. And I'm sorry I cut you off there.
Mm-mm. You're good. I think you just mentioned about seesaw and duality, and we did an episode on chart shapes. I don't fucking know when, years ago. That may be fun to revisit or talk about the different shapes. But when you mention seesaw, that means we'll have like a bunch. I forget what the actual like verbiage is on it. Like it looks like a seesaw. Like there's a bunch of cluster on one side and a cluster on the other. It's not a splay where it's all spread out, but there's like, yeah, it's like almost having two kind of conjunction-y areas. So I think too, I mean, you're mentioning this duality. I like usually when people are asking questions, it's like, and you mentioned about chaoticness, I think of this is probably from like some YouTube thing of like behind the scenes with Stevie Nicks when she's getting ready. I think it was like the filming for Tusk, the documentary. And she was just doing ballet and dancing. She's like, I'm a Gemini. I need to do multiple things. So I think like, I don't know, like, I just don't want you to shame yourself if you have like multiple interests. I know like being a multi hyphenate or being someone that does a lot of different things sometimes can be like looked down on, especially like when we live in a very like niche society where like, I was telling like someone, it's like, it's crazy that there's like, if you can search any job and day in the life on TikTok, it exists. Like there's like some influencer plumber out there just like killing it and being like hyper specific, but that's not all of our journeys. And so I think just appreciating that you can do more than one thing is, I mean, I think those people who are hyper specific, maybe they're really Capricorny and maybe they're really conjunction-y, wish they had maybe some other sides, which they can explore. That doesn't mean you're destined to only do what your chart says. But I think, like when there's like, it's considering the other, which I think is like a really beautiful gift to have.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're weird, I guess. Is that what you want to hear? You want to hear that you suck, that your signs are bad? Well, there.
Well, go somewhere else because we're not here for it.
I mean, not Sag and Gem. Like, come on. No. Like, you're too fun for
the comedy axis. No way.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Yeah. Well, you're a Patreon member. So thanks for submitting. We'll maybe take a deeper look. I want to know the rising now. I want to look at the full chart. We can do that in our chat. Shall we answer the next question?
Yes. Our next question comes from Kendall. Hi. First of all, love you guys. Pretty new to the Patreon/Discord, but having a great time. My birth info is October 16th, 1995 in Dallas, Texas. Do we want to bleep that out? We did talk about this. Okay. My name is Kendall, but most of my friends call me KB. I'm wondering what you can tell me about the role of Scorpio in my chart, specifically in terms of my love life. My Venus, Mars, Pluto, and midheaven are in Scorpio, and all of my Libra placements, Sun, Mercury, Chiron, and North Node, are in the 8th house, which is ruled by Scorpio, right? For context, I date a lot and typically have great dates on both sides, easy conversations, fun hookups, etc. But so far, nothing has stuck. LOL. This might not be an actual question and might not have anything to do with Scorpio, but was just realizing that my Scorpio intensity might be something. Wondering your opinions.
Okay. Thank you, KB. Also,
Thank you, KB.
You're a great member. I know I'm great member of our Discord Patreon community. So fun to chat with. And now looking at this chart, this makes sense. I'm gonna screen share the chart. So if you're watching on YouTube, you can actually take a peek of the wheel. Here we go. So we have this Libra sun, all those Libra placements that were mentioned. It's Cancer moon and Aquarius rising. So I'm like, what was this? Is me. What was the question again?
So the role of Scorpio. I would say, firstly, I think it's interesting that you do ask about the Scorpio, not only because we have Mars and Pluto there in conjunction, also conjunct your midheaven in Scorpio. So, I mean, it is a powerful force. Mars is the traditional ruler. I mean, Scorpio is a traditional ruler of Mars. It is the modern ruler of Pluto. And so we have two planets in their domicile, strong, also Mars, our will, Pluto, that also another kind of willpower, power dynamics, all of those things that absolutely make sense in terms of like going after what you're wanting and asserting yourself. Mars too, in dating, fun, flirty, hookups, all of that totally tracks. And then Venus, of course, up there. But I think that it's interesting that you asked about Scorpio specifically because your Libra house is intercept. And we have Scorpio as one of your kind of like double houses. When you have intercepted houses, those ones double up. There are like two ones that you see. And so we have, am I right or am I wrong about that?
Yeah, no, I'm also like on, I know you're watching the video. I'm kind of pointing it out with the pointer. You can see that since we use Placidus, so it doesn't make it equal houses. This, you can kind of, I can't remember who came up with this phrase. It's like an alligator's mouth is this 8th house and it's eating that whole widget of Libra. And then the same thing down here because the houses are connected to each other. The 2nd house. So they're getting gobbled up. Essentially, Aries got gobbled up and Libra got gobbled up.
Yes, exactly.
So you're fucked. No, I'm sorry. I'm just kidding. You're fine.
Also a quick aside too, the houses are not ruled by any particular signs. We do especially in kind of modern personality driven astrology, there is like a 1-to-1 first house Aries associated with those energies, but they are not the houses are ruled by the sign that is on their house cusp in your chart specifically. It's not like all of them, although again, there is crossover and we do like a 1-to-1. I believe in our houses episode, we really like went in on kind of trying to disassociate from the direct house to sign 1-to-1 comparison, because I do think it's something that trips people up on houses, but houses really are only about the areas of life. They are not ruled by any planet or sign. They refer to, areas of life, conditions.
And look, are those areas of life very similar to the themes of the signs? Like,
yes, absolutely. But just to say too, again, not to say either that your association was incorrect too. I just want to take that moment to.
It's like a technically.
Yeah, to technically say again, and I think because houses seem to be such a thing that people get so tripped up on, I want people to know that is how it works. Okay.
Good.
Back to your chart.
Good reference. I mean, also like Scorpio Venus, I think is the hottest Venus. Like I'm just gonna throw that out there. Every time I look up a celebrity that just has those like they can like grab you with their eyes, it's like always a fucking Scorpio Venus person. So, but it's interesting because you have the conjunct. Let me back up. Your Mars and Venus are both in Scorpio, but they're not conjunct. They're like kind of distant. I mean, you have 8-degree Venus, 27-degree Mars conjunct by sign, but not by like actual degrees. And I think it's always interesting when we have those same signs, but they're far apart because it's like the wanting of Venus and like the needing of Mars are not aligned exactly. And we have Pluto there with Mars too, which I think I think when Pluto is in conversation, I know it's like not in like a relationship house, I'm air quoting with the ninth, but it's like in Mars and Venus, which we can find a lot of like personal relationship qualities with these planets. I feel like Pluto is just, I don't know. My prediction is like whoever is that person that you lock down, like you're just gonna like probably get married the next week, and like it's just gonna be like it's just on. Where I think Pluto, when I see that was in like heavy relationship sectors, can be because it knows like if it's gonna do it, it's gonna really do it big. And not to say that, I'm not a psychic, I can't say that's for sure, but it's a tendency I've seen. So like I don't know if you're wanted, like, if this is even, you even said, like, I don't even know if I have a question. So I don't even know if I have an answer, but I don't know if you want to, like, experiment with, like, making someone your boyfriend, girlfriend, partner for 2 weeks and then ending. Like, I don't know. Like, I do kind of miss how in 6th grade we all would just date and then break up and move on. And I feel like the labeling of partnerdom is very taboo nowadays, or it's like in a totally different sort of place. But you asked about like what the role of Scorpio is. I mean, it is the most visible part of your chart. And I think it is probably a thing that people really see and notice about you. And I think what's cool about Scorpio energy is their power of influence. And I think Mars and Pluto there feels very like you say jump and they say how high. So it's like using that power gracefully. I mean, you have a Cancer moon there. So there's probably a tenderoni, deep inside, and obviously lots of Venus with Libra. But yeah, I think that's there's a Scorpio is definitely present like in your chart and very seen. It might be the thing that people, it's funny because I get into this like thought a lot with like first impressions. We always hear the rising sign, but I do think the midheaven has a lot to do with like how we're also, it's very, the outside world. I don't think it gets that rap as much as the, career sort of stuff.
Yeah, I agree. Imagine if that was like, that's it.
And scene.
Good old
no.
Shanu.
I think that in general, I think that Scorpio's role in the natal chart is to find areas in life where we can regenerate and where we can bring dark things to light, and potentially, it has to go both ways, right? So potentially it's also a place where we sometimes in moments of maybe not our strongest moments, we bring our light into darkness too. And yours being in the 9th house space, I wonder a little bit about I mean, obviously long distance travel is one that comes up a lot with the 9th house. And so I wonder if this is that immersive study abroad experience, if this is someone who gets a lot of like culture shock when you visit other cultures, or gets super immersed in it, even if it's like you went to Chicago, and I'll use an example from my own life. You went to Chicago for like 1 week and you're like trying to tell everyone where the best pizza place is or whatever. You know what I mean? Where it's like, you're not from here. Why do you feel like you're part of this or whatever? But I do think that when talking about regeneration and stuff, I feel like especially in the 9th house, it's like the idea that we could create energy, or that we could create something from kind of the spiritual taboo or unlooked space, right? And so my heart always goes to meditation for that, because it's one of those things that makes you feel like you've got more time somehow, or the world has stretched bigger than it even is, or whatever. Reading a book, I think, is similar, where you get to actually feel the room you're in get hotter, but in your head you're kind of in this other world that a writer has created for you. And so I think those things can be really powerful. How do you use them? I don't know. You have your midheaven here. Do you have interest in writing? Do you have interest in traveling for a living? Those are a few things that I think could be used. As far as like romantic stuff, I'm less interested in that in the 9th and 10th house space. Not that it doesn't mean it's there, but is there a relationship healing that you can do for other people by showing your dating experience or relationship trauma. I mean, those are just a few ways that I think we can do that. I also think that all of that Libra stuff, talking about the 8th and second house being intercepted in Stevie's alligator example, where each sign is getting eaten, I really like, especially talking about the 8th house, because I think what happens a lot of time in the 2nd and 8th houses are those things feel meshed together. And so those self and other, I would say, with Libra and Aries, but I would also say with Taurus and Scorpio, with the 2nd and the 8th houses. So I would say having boundaries and defining those things could be really helpful if we are talking about relationships and things being casual and flirty and fun, but not really sticking. Well, what do we want to stick? What are our boundaries? Mm-hmm. What do we need from this relationship? Do we want to keep just doing it this way? That's fine. Do it that way, you know? But if things feel murky, knowing what you need for yourself is only going to help you create realistic expectations in relationships for others as well. I think that kind of was all I downloaded from the universe for you.
Which kind of goes, Lisa, with Aquarius rising, Leo, 7th house. Like, there does seem to be a quest for freedom, Jupiter and Sagittarius. Now, like, looking back at your question, like at these, great conversation, easy hookups, nothing that stuck. Like, this is Libra. Like, I'm getting away from the Scorpio energy of it all, because I don't equate that with Scorpio, but like,
I think Scorpio though I think Scorpio can get what it wants, but Master that's not game, necessarily what you actually want for something serious. And there is a way of going like, well, I want to see if I can get this. I want to see if I like, or I know how to read someone. I know how to be in tune with someone's energy. I know how to make a date go well, but is it something that you actually like? Is this someone who you are interested in having a long-term relationship with? All of those things I think are different than I am successful at dating. Being successful at dating to me is very Libra Scorpio, because it's very other focused. It's very, we're tit for tat conversations here. We are the right amount of like mysterious and playful, and also like seductive and magnetic, but also not too intense. But I think that like desire for intense connection to just, I think also like happen, which to me is very Mars Pluto, that kind of like in a moment or whatever. And you also have this Moon Neptune opposition, which I think can also be a little like romantic, idealistic. This is a thing of like wanting something both like practical, but also absolutely effortless and just is happening, you know? And I think that the kind of like deep enmeshed, merged partnership kinds of things that happen, connection, all of that like takes time. And like you said, boundaries, establishing your wants and needs, really getting to know someone, not being just light and fun. And I don't think that you're in any way not capable of all of that. I think it just is like I think it means some more bad dates or whatever too, or ones that don't necessarily go as well. And I think that that's another like Mars Pluto on the MC of like getting, winning. Mars, that's like very winner to me, where it's like being a good at
you win dating
something. Yes, but that doesn't necessarily mean you win a relationship.
Well, and if we go to the relationship sector again, which we would look at the 7th house. Of course, there's like other planets we can look at, but you asked about like Scorpio and the influence of like dating relatively, and this like question on question, which we love. But it's all like there's so much culminating at the sun, like that big fucking T square, like you mentioned, Julie, with the Neptune moon opposition, but also with the Uranus there with Neptune and Capricorn opposite this Cancer moon, all like, Illuminati squaring up to the sun in the 8th house of sharing with others that's already intercepted. There does feel like when it's so sun and solar based with these partnerships, and then there's like Neptune of like, is this too good to be true? And then the Uranus feeling change, and then the moon safety. I feel like it's just like it's so corny with a relationship, when you know. But like, I think you'll know when, I think being open to when those signals of change do come. And especially in those if this is what you're looking for, like, who fucking knows? Like, you know, live your life, keep going on fun dates, like no pressure to settle down because that's not what you need to do. But I think if the question is like, when will you know if it's something that's different? I think that those like planets and signs and like that impact towards the sun are like really good, like green flag sort of symbols of like feeling things feel like you're being like Leo's, you know, rises up to a challenge. And I think like Leo is very power couple, very, you know, want someone that they feel proud of and that's their match. So just thinking of that sort of energy in terms of maybe who you end up long hauling with.
I think too, in relationship, I find Scorpio in the ninth, I think is a very convincing placement. I mean, I can't imagine, and you have all this Libra and Mercury, you know, conjunct. I mean, you have all this stuff that I think you could very easily talk someone into whatever type of agreement is up to you. You know, if that's you know, sugar daddy, sugar baby, if it's super, super serious monogamy, if it's having something a little bit more open and maybe favors you in a way, you know what I mean? I think that this is a very like convincing person. So I wouldn't worry too much about giving yourself or giving another person your rules, because I have a feeling they're going to find a way to follow them, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Which is almost more stressful for those people because it's like, it's your call, dude. Like it is gonna probably be your call when it's like that person, but it also, I don't know, it's like these corny dating phrases of like, you'll know like if you also feels like you like them a little more than they like you to, like that balance of like, oh yeah, another simp that's so easy to date. Like I think they'll feel more like not a challenge in an ungettable way, but a challenge in like, you can't just charm me with your typical Scorpio Libra ways. Like,
well, I think
probably have that back.
You have to not just charm, like let someone charm you.
Yeah.
Let someone else impress you, do all of those things, which means not being as accommodating or as, you know, whatever, like as dazzling, and that's not, I don't think that that's easy for so much in the top half of the chart. That Jupiter and Sag too, I think in the 10th, while it's not, you know, conjunct your midheaven, it's still up there going. Yeah, I mean, I think it's just totally. Yeah.
All right, well,
fun question. Thanks so much, Katie.
Yeah, it was great looking at a, you know, full chart, and thanks for letting us do that for you. And we'll talk about it on the Discord for sure.
Thanks to everyone who submitted questions to our mailbag. These do, you know, we'll do
on a monthly roll.
Yeah,
you know?
It was like
they're fun.
We're doing them, keep sending them. We want to get to as many as we can. And like we said, too, this is a benefit that is available to our Patreon subscribers and our Patreon subscribers alone. So if you want to ask us a question, this is the way to do it. Consider joining us over on Patreon. And
the cheapest chart reading you'll probably ever get. ever get. I mean, unless you're like booking off Craigslist, which actually that'd be so fun to find. Anyway, okay, that's an aside.
Side note.
Thanks for submitting. We should just put up a Craigslist ad. Astrologer looking for astrology guests for a podcast. Which is the weirdest person we can get on.
Also, if you've already sent us a question,
yes,
we might answer it later. So don't get discouraged. Also, feel free to resubmit. That doesn't, I don't know if it doesn't matter to us really. We'll still see that it's been there twice, but if you have a new question or something has gotten updated and you want us to disregard something from the past, keep us updated. Let us know. We love chatting with our patrons.
And what's great is because we had someone that had that and they just chatted it on our mailbag channel on the Discord. It was like, oh, I have an update. It's like, this is how it goes. Y'all. This is how it goes.
We love it. We love it.
Thanks for sending your questions. Join our Patreon and we'll see you next Monday.
Bye.
At Disney. Bye.